Well, hello there. Come in. Are you ready for some WrestleMash? I know we are. I'm Paul, and it has been WrestleMania week 2022. It is now within the books. There is plenty to chew over for me and my two pals, but first, let me tell you about this podcast. WrestleMash is one of the 3 podcast parts which, when formed together, make the mega powers that is the Midweek Mashed Tattie Sportscast. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and on all audio streaming platforms. Liking what you're listening to? Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to leave us
5 stars, baby! Boom!
Boom, my boy, yes! And speaking of boom, bringing the boom are the mega powers upon this podcast. It is the Wish Viking himself, Macho Mick, and the Hulk Harvey brother.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, brother. Well, how are we doing?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Aye, no bad. I'm hanging in there.
You're hanging in there.
I'm on the rails.
I have no random weird questions to ask you this week, lads. Such as the amount of wrestling that we literally need to talk about. We have too much wrestling. Mick, I know for a fact that you have seen more wrestling this week than probably any man has ever seen in his lifetime. How are you feeling?
Actually, I know bad. I like tired, mentally drained for the
Mentally
weekend,
done.
man.
I bet you.
Especially with WrestleMania. It's so long.
There is a
It doesn't
lot
need
of
to be that
wrestling.
long.
Well, I say there's a lot of wrestling.
But I did mean to actually sit down and work out how much wrestling I've watched this week compared to an average week. I ken it's a lot, but I'm not sure how much.
No, it is a session for any wrestling fan. Is WrestleMania week? It really is. Harvey, how are you feeling? You're not quite as kind of watched out, are you? You're not too bad.
No, I'm not too bad.
Not too bad. I've not seen quite as much.
No, I just aye.
We won't get. We won't get into.
I refuse to watch.
refuse to watch.
I refuse to watch certain things.
Aye.
But I've watched like highlights and stuff like that. But I'm not going to sit and watch with
No, and hey, more power to you, man. That's totally up to you, my man. Don't you worry. Me and Mick have took that bullet for you. So on this week's show, lads, we're going to just try cover everything, really. That's about it. I mean, we've got WWE Hall of Fame, Impact, Multiverse of Matches, GCW Collective, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, the reboot. We've got WrestleMania 38, Night 1, Night 2. We might try fit in a wee bit of AEW Dynamite. Who knows? Just stick with us. Ring the bell. Oh dear, so first up on the board, and this is something that I did not watch really because I never really see the point to it, but just my opinion. However, Michael, I do believe you did indeed take in WWE's Hall of Fame show. What did you think, man, and what was the highlights? Break it down for me.
The biggest takeaway for me was that the audience was a shower of wank stains. Probably not the take you were expecting, but...
Absolutely not the take I was expecting.
Yes.
See,
Wanksteeds.
So, explain why.
Obviously, the Hall of Fame it's a very WWE thing,
Yes,
and
indeed.
it doesn't necessarily represent pro wrestling as a whole. Well, it doesn't at all represent pro wrestling as a whole. But it is still like a big deal in the wrestling world, especially for anybody that's A, a fan of, and B, a member of the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So years ago, it used to have quite a lot of prestige, and they would do it in like kind of amphitheaters and stuff like that. You would be able to buy tickets as a member of the public, but there wasn't that many and stuff like that. And it was more just a kind of sort of TV show and like a red carpet event for the wrestlers. But now they're doing them in the same arena as WrestleMania. So it means that, there's seats to be filled. That means there's tickets to be sold. So it's just full of rowdy wrestling fans that are there for WrestleMania. So when you've got guys trying to make speeches, you've got random chants kicking off and stuff. And like, just generally being a bit disrespectful in my opinion. So it made it a bit of a kind of naff watch, if I'm being honest.
Aye, so it's no quite as good an experience as it maybe should have
Like,
been.
I mean, perfect example is, right, obviously the headline was Taker, right? Undertaker,
yep, going in.
after something like 32 years of wrestling in WWE, goes into the Hall of Fame. And not only that, he full on breaks character for the first time ever. In his speech, he says, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, for 30 plus years you've known me as The Undertaker, so tonight, for the first time ever, I want to introduce you to the man underneath the hat, Mark Calloway, right? That's like kind of how he started his speech. So it was quite a sort. It was like shooting for the heart. You know what I mean? It was very rehearsed. Kind of looked like it might be somebody reading it into his ear, kind of thing. But nevertheless, you know, like what the content. It was quite emotional. It was something like 15 minutes or sort of 20 minutes of him talking. It was like a full on thing.
Right, okay.
They went to town with it, man. They had mannequins set up in the ring with his different costumes that he's had through the years.
Oh, that's a nice touch. I mean,
they went full out with it. But during it, he paused for a second to kind of compose himself. He was getting a bit emotional, and a fan shouts, "I love you." Nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
Right.
So he's like, I love you too, man. And then goes to continue his speech. And as they start speaking, presumably the same fan, might have been a different fan, but presumably the same fan shouts back 10 times louder than the first shout, "I love you more." So Taker has to take himself out of his speech and be like, right, let's not have a love fest or whatever it is. He said he handled it pretty well, like, but we're talking about like the absolute cream of the crop in pro wrestling, like, you know what I mean? The Undertaker's revered by everybody, like,
absolutely
behind the curtain and in front of the curtain. And I just thought to myself, like, that's why? Just sit there and take in what you're seeing.
I think this is you're no wrong with that. Like, bringing fans into like the Hall of Fame sort of stuff, you're going to get the kind of fan reaction, and obviously with wrestling fans, especially WWE crowds, are notorious for going into business for themselves, frankly. And that takes a wee bit of shine, and it takes him off his flow as well, man, which isn't cool.
There was another bit of where Vince McMahon was the one to induct Taker into the Hall of Fame, and when he was yapping, the crowd started a what chant. No switch a chant, but like they started the whole what thing, right? That,
by the way, that can go in the. If there's any one trope from fans that can go in the fucking bin, it is the what. The what can take a running fuck off to itself.
There are times.
Excuse my French.
There are times where it adds to the whole thing. Like, I mean, for example, the following night, WrestleMania, Steve Austin's back for the first time. We'll come to this later on.
Oh, we will.
He's back for the first time in years. And when he's on the mic, they're doing the what way on, but they're doing it at the right time. It's working. When McMahon was at the Hall of Fame, they're just potting him just to wind him up, just for the sake of it.
Bullshit, aye.
He initially went with it, and he watted back at them, right? He tried to roll with the punches on it, but they then thought, oh, ha ha, we've got him here, he's playing. And so they doubled down on it, and then for a second, you saw it in his face, he's like, if you don't shut up, you know what I mean? The rage was fucking coming up, man. Like, obviously McMahon's a control freak, to say the least, so aye. It got a bit awkward for a second. You saw him kind of taking a look around the room, like, who's getting it first?
Getting a wee bit fed up with it all.
Aye.
Oh, well, I mean, there was a few folk, obviously, Steiners were put into the Hall of Fame. My saying Booker's wife, Charmel, Queen Charmel.
Aye, bit of a weird one, that.
I mean, would you call that a Hall of Fame entry? For me?
The thing with Charmel is that she was one of the first sort of women of colour to be in quite a prominent position in pro wrestling TV.
True, aye.
So it's hard to argue it. They made a point of, in their kind of vignette thing, they made a point of interviewing like Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair and a couple other ones.
Bianca as well, right, okay.
So that, you know, like they kind of spoke to them and like they talked about watching her on TV when they were wee and stuff like that.
I mean, that's fair enough. If that's their experience and that was a positive thing for them, seeing a lassie who was of their kind of skin colour on TV, then who am I to argue, I suppose, in a way. Vader obviously posthumously, I think that's the way you pronounce that.
Posthumously, that's right.
He's also entered. I mean, some wrestler back in his day, Christ, Jesus.
One of the best big men
One
ever.
of the best monster
so
wrestlers.
far ahead of his time. So far ahead of his time.
Ruined in WWE and WWF practically, he really was. It just wasn't the same as he was in Japan and in WCW.
Aye.
But still, nonetheless, a legend. Definitely a legend. I'm just going to quickly shift on to the Impact multiverse of matches. I think you watched that again, Mick, in full living colour. I kind of caught up on the kind of big beats of it. I mean, for me, mate, my summation of it, it's a house show, really. It's just a glorified house show. No, it's not to say that it's a bad show, but it's exhibition matches from kind of start to finish. No kind of stakes, no kind of consequences to it.
So, to set the scene, it seemed to be in like the unwanted hall at the WrestleCon. Like it was a strange room for pro wrestling for a kickoff. They must have had 500 fans at most in there. Like it wasn't a big place. There wasn't many fans. It was awfully bare looking. Like it was kind of like a house show. There was very little sort of signs and posters and whatever. They seem to have, I think, just the one hard cam and that was it. I don't think they had cameramen roaming about. So it never once looked particularly great on camera. They had multiple issues with sound and stuff.
The place just hasn't been kitted out for it effectively.
It seemed to be like a last minute thing. That's what it felt like.
I mean, and it's no last minute thing. Like they've obviously booked this weekend for that multiverse for ages. This is the thing. I always come on here and I say to you too, Impact deserves a second look. They are doing a lot of good things, and then I watched that on Saturday, and have a look at that on Saturday, and it looks the presentation is just so amateurish. It reminds me of early Ring of Honor, like just so bare and doing nothing for the folk that are in the ring.
It felt very much like an indie show that was like TV was an afterthought, you know what I mean? Like it was set up for the fans in attendance, but then at the same time there was barely any fans there, so I don't know, man.
I mean, when I was flicking through the telly, well, it wasn't actually me, it was Mrs. was flicking through the telly a couple of weeks ago. Impact was on and she stopped on it.
Right.
And she was watching it for a bit, and I was looking at it and I was like, this looks very, very amateur, like the way the whole setup, like in terms of the setup and stuff like that.
It's more like it's like a television set as opposed to an actual venue now.
They're not in the studios anymore, are they?
They're not in Universal anymore, because the studio that they had for the Impact Zone was quite a big studio. Like you could fit at least 1,000 fans in that, probably. Yeah. At certain points. But what they're doing now is, it does not look very good at all. Like it just all the fans are on the one level. The walls are dead narrow and the ring's dead. Like everything feels, it's like a cramped back room now. It really, they're not helping themselves sell the product. God. You know what I mean?
And then to go back to Multiverse, it opened with an X Division match.
Yeah,
I've not watched an Impact show in probably at least a year, I think. Close to a year anyway. And I've not watched it sort of, like week in week for a long time. I spoke before about how, like, at one point I got quite into TNA, the sort of precursor to Impact.
You did, mate, aye.
Watched that quite religiously. And then fell away from it, and then when it switched over to Impact, I went through a period of time where I watched it quite religiously for a bit as well. The X Division matches are historically among my favourite matches. Like they take the kind of basic idea of like a ladder match where you've got something hanging above the ring and you need to climb up and get to it to win the match. They take that sort of basic concept and they do something that's so unique and just so different to anything else that's out there, that they're almost always cracking matches. And it helps that obviously they tend to fill them with all this sort of best high flyers and stuff. This time, however, no so much. To say it felt like an exhibition wouldn't I wouldn't cut it, man. Like, it just, for me, it just fell flat. The crowd was up and down, so there was little energy in the place, and the match just felt like they had 3 or 4 spots that they'd been told to hit or they had agreed to hit, and they just worked their way, joining the dots through it. Like, there was no storytelling, there was no rhyme or reason to it. It just kind of happened, and it felt a bit rushed and a bit meh. I was so disappointed in it. That was the main reason I watched that. There was a couple of matches on there that I was interested in seeing, like seeing Ishii.
I told my Ishii was there. That's right. Yeah.
And I was interested in the tag match with the Briscoes and the Good Brothers and stuff like that. But the kind of biggest thing for me was taking in an X Division match for the first time in a wee while, and I was bitterly disappointed with it.
It's genuinely, I genuinely feel a bit bad about Impact with that weekend that's just passed there. I've been crying to the rooftops how they are improving, and then that really, I mean, the concept of that wee kind of show that they put on that wee supercard there with multiple promotions and all that probably shows you why mixing promotions sometimes can be a bad thing. Because it's people that aren't used to working with one another. It's obviously somebody's got to go over, so who's going over and who's getting their kind of their push, as it were, kind of hurt where they're working in their home promotion, so on and so forth. So it's maybe kind of came down to that kind of just obviously a bit of sort of miscommunication and kind of organisation in it, like, which is it's a shame.
What I would kind of like to say is the Tomohiro Ishii and Eddie Edwards match, and then the Jay White and Chris Sabin match are well worth a watch.
I'm
really
really
good matches.
Yeah,
the Jay White Chris Sabin in particular, that was the highlight of the night.
Really,
that was a really good match.
Aye.
Chris Sabin doesn't look like how I remember him. Because obviously, like he's been in Impact for a long time.
Aye.
So I'm in my mind, I still see him as he was, 10 years ago. But he can still put a match on. And Jay White's obviously he's one of the best.
Sabin and Shelley
so.
have never changed. Nearly have, even with age, like, so. Not a great surprise. I'm just going to quickly skirt over, if you will, the NXT Stand and Deliver 2022 show. So this was a matinee show which took place in Dallas, the American Airlines Centre, in fact. It was just the kind of the bottom tier of seats that was kind of sold for it. So maybe 3,000-4,000 I would wager at. Like a fairly big crowd, but no a massive takeover crowd.
Was it pre-taped?
No, this was live. So this was a live show done early in the day. Aye, so this was pre-WrestleMania. So you would imagine a lot of these fans had to get out of this and then shoot across to the stadium for WrestleMania. But I mean, the card itself, a lot of good work on it, a lot of hard working matches. Kind of ups. Cameron Grimes won the North American Championship. That was a decent match, a ladder match, but downs were pretty down, man. Tony D'Angelo beating Tommaso Ciampa, absolutely. I've never seen a crowd so uninterested in a Tommaso Ciampa match,
right? Which
is the really sad thing. I mean, that is the standard bearer of the black and gold NXT,
right?
And it just, everybody knew that this result was coming in the match, so no matter what they did to build to it, there just wasn't much of a reaction. I thought the crowd looked a bit like, here we fucking go. Like when Ciampa hits his finishing move on Tony D'Angelo, everybody just went, aye, right, fine, can we be done? So I would assume that Ciampa now moves up to Raw, WWE Raw now. I think that's his last NXT match.
Which can oftentimes mean it's the sort of farewell run of your WWE career.
He won't last in Raw. And that's not to say Tommaso Ciampa's the problem. But he won't last in Raw. He'll be chasing the 24/7 title like a fucking idiot, just shortly. Just you watch this space. The headline match, the headline match of the pay-per-view, Dolph Ziggler retained against Braun Breaker, which I was incredibly surprised at. I mean, I assumed this was why Ziggler won this in the first place, which was to give Braun Breaker his big WrestleMania weekend moment to be the NXT champion. But I mean, does he now move to Raw, to SmackDown, Braun Breaker?
Can I hit pause for 1 second here? Actually, something that should have been mentioned in the Hall of Fame thing. Obviously, the Steiner brothers, right? Aye, anybody that likes a laugh at Scott Steiner, go into YouTube and find his Hall of Fame speech.
You're indeed
It was
referencing
ridiculous.
the Macho Man's speech, part of his speech, aye.
Aye, but but the thing I want to bring up is that it was so it was Rick's son, who is now known as Braun Breaker, who inducted them. He's the one that did the wee speech and brought them out. But they stuck with his like kayfabe name, like his wrestling name, that they stuck with Braun Breaker the whole time. It was so strange to hear them say, like, please welcome to induct his dad and uncle, the Steiner brothers, Braun Breaker. You know what I mean? It's like, that's his name.
Aye. Bronstein, Rex Steiner, Braun Steiner, Rex Steiner. There are so many. Nah, never mind. Right, fuck it. I'm just going to quickly mention that there was also the GCW Collective, whole whack of shows on all over the weekend. You can check a load of them out on Fight TV, on YouTube, whatever. Depends how much money you want to spend, really. I mean, shows such as, I love the names of the GCW shows, lads. Joey Janela's Spring Break, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, outstanding. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, which, check that out. And obviously there was the World on Lucha as well. But match for me, if you're going to check out any of the collectives matches, Biff Busick versus John Moxley at Bloodsport. Mick, okay. I know you were saying off camera, he also had another match at the collective.
Aye.
He had the GCW World title match as well.
Indeed he did, aye, which was also very good.
Aye.
Very much worth a watch. That one was every bit a GCW match. There was razor wire out, there was doors getting smashed. Aye, they had the old fluorescent light tubes. There was plenty to take in with that one.
It's amazing that he does that just after what effectively was a pancreas match, which, by the way, check out Combat Spuds on the old pancreas. Shout out! But aye, Biff Busick versus John Moxley was a what fucking fist fight, basically. It was awesome.
Can we take 2 seconds to just say, for the uninitiated, Harvey, I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure, the GCW Bloodsport shows are effectively inspired by the Jean-Claude Van Damme film, Bloodsport, right? Aye. So, in that film, they have the Kumite, which is this made-up martial arts event where they've got this kind of raised platform, and they have like a fight to not so much fight to the death, but a fight to you kind of continue sort of thing. So, in these Bloodsport events, they take away the ropes and the turnbuckles, so they've just got the ring and the posts, and then they just basically have like an anything goes kind of style fight. It's done in like shoot style, which like Paul's obviously referencing Pancrase. It very much is that kind of style, and then you can only win by like knockout, submission, or referee stoppage. There's no pins or that. So
that's awesome, man. It's good. It's a wee treat. That really is. It really is.
If it's done properly, it is a treat.
If you do it right, it's great. If you do it like Wardlow and Jake Hager on that Dynamite episode, less said the better.
Aye.
Less said the better. But it can be done by the right people. It can be done. Anyway, lads, we have arrived at the meaty section of this episode. 2 big events to talk about now. First one up, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor 15. The revival of Ring of Honor under Tony Khan. What do we think, lads? I will let you go first before I just show my love.
For me, just bravo.
Yeah. Round of applause in the podcast.
Round of applause, man.
Really?
There you go. I was going to say, can I go first before Michael? Because Michael went.
You go.
I was just going to say. I was just going to say it was a success. It was. It was. Absolutely. I thought it was really. I thought it was really good, man.
It was a definite
to
success.
be honest.
Did you watch the full thing, Harvey?
I watched all the matches. Yes.
It was brilliant. It was absolute pre-show. Great. This is the thing that Tony Khan does with AEW. He makes his pre-shows worth watching.
Aye.
I really enjoyed this pre-show again. First match straight out of the gate, and it's called Cabana, and his old Ring of Honor gear with his old Ring of Honor theme music.
Yep.
Wrestling in his old Ring of Honor style, where he's just having fun. It was genius. It was just
class, man. It was rolling back the years. Like it was going back 10, 15 years to the old days of Cabana and Ring of Honor and telling about the Indies. Just having a laugh with the crowd, and I was so good, man.
Just
It was so
in
good to
that
see him in his element.
carnival-style wrestler, that show-style wrestler playing to the crowd, cheering, oh, no, that kind of crap. Like, just...
I didn't quite. Sorry.
Oh, you're all right,
It,
no?
it was
Go
brilliant. I was just saying, I didn't quite know who he was wrestling. This Blake. Guy,
So he
Blake
seems
Christian
to
or
be
something.
he seems to be more in GCW than that. He's a kind of light heavyweight guy.
Right.
He's obviously not a signed Ring of Honor talent, but he did what he needed to do in this match, which was played off of Cabana.
It's like a wee high flyer, isn't he?
He was decent enough. Like he was decent enough.
He also featured. He's one of the guys that did a double shift. He featured in the X Division match on the Impact show, and he was one of the better workers in that match, I will say as well. He seems to be pretty good.
He's probably got a future somewhere. Aye.
For me, it's the first time I've seen him over the weekend as well.
He's had a good weekend. He was good against Cabana, certainly. But I mean, the big points in this Supercard, obviously, Brian Cage reappearing out of the wilderness. Suddenly, a Brian Cage appeared. Like, that's what it was like bloody Pokemon, wasn't it? A wild Brian Cage appears.
Brian Cage.
But he looked motivated. He looked good. He threw that wee ninja mac about like a wet tracksuit, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that as a stable in Ring of Honor. I mean, Tully Blanchard Enterprises, and the Gates of Agony, wasn't it? The name of the tag team.
I believe that's what they called them.
Gates of Agony, what was Agony? Well, I can't remember exactly, but two big meaty men, wasn't it?
I've got it here.
Aye.
Gates of Agony. It was Jasper Khan and Toa Leona.
And they look very good in their kind of pre-show match as well. So I mean, they're already building kind of factions and stories, obviously leading into their TV. I mean, what one of the biggest points do you want to talk about first? Will we do the tag or will we do the main event first? What do you want to do first, guys?
I think
what would you like?
I think we should go over Jay Lethal and Lee Moriarty first.
That would lead nicely into the main event. So obviously, this was a crackery match between Lee Moriarty and Jay Lethal. This has been playing out a kind of story that's been kind of developing on AEW Dynamite, obviously, with Jay Lethal, where he's been doing incredibly well against top of the card AEW wrestlers, but falling just short.
Yep.
Because he's trying his big finisher and he's getting caught.
Yep.
So in this case, the referee's back is turned and he kind of dick swing, low blows, whatever you want to call it. Dick punch? Aye, dick punch. Whatever.
Dick swing. Swings a bit of dick.
Swings a dick. I blew that totally there. Another dick punch. I made a backside of that.
A bit of nuts. There we go.
I actually gave him a big old punch in the nuts.
Low blow would have done fine.
Low blow would have been... that really should have been the first thing I said. But I didn't. So
the old dick swing.
The old dick swing. He gave him the old dick swing of the arm.
Oh, God.
There's a reason Excalibur doesn't call it that, isn't there? But so he hit him with a low blow, and that allowed him to steal the win. And of course, he'd started the match with the Code of Honor with a handshake.
Yep.
And the commentators in Ring of Honor are obviously big in picking up Code of Honor observed. Oh, Code of Honor hasn't been observed. And he's obviously been a face in Ring of Honor for years and years and years. He's been the unturnable baby face, but he turns in their first big show back.
Jay Lethal did what Cody Rhodes should have done.
Yes!
He was the face for so long. The fans loved him. The fans never thought for a second that he would turn. And what does he do in the first show back? He turns. And he did it beautifully, man. It was a really well worked.
Wasn't it just? But I was literally sitting in bed applauding the TV. I'm applauding again, lads. It's another applause for Ring of Honor. I was like, that is perfection. If you've been watching AEW Dynamite, and I assume Ring of Honor viewers probably are watching AEW Dynamite, that is beautifully finessed in. Beautifully finessed. And obviously then that leads to the main event. And we have Jonathan Gresham versus Bandito. Are you on the Jonathan Gresham train, lads? Do you get
Ring of Honor, aye. I don't see him at the top of the card in many other places because, unfortunately, his size is an issue for him. But his style works very well for him.
What do
He
you
is-
think, Harvey,
he is
mate, as
good.
well? You a believer in Jonathan Gresham?
Aye.
Aye. You can buy him as a
Aye.
heavyweight champion. Obviously.
Um,
No, that's exactly my reaction.
Aye. Depending on the circumstances, aye.
Aye.
The thing for me is that in Ring of Honor, it's the Ring of Honor World title. It's no the Ring of Honor Heavyweight title.
That's
Heavyweight
true.
title,
That
aye.
is
That
true.
for me is
Yeah.
the technicality that lets them away with it, because
That
I
is
don't believe
true.
for a second that man weighs in as a heavyweight.
He is absolutely
well-
not a heavyweight. He's 180 pounds or something. Like, I mean, he's only 5'4" or something. He's 5'4" if you're lucky.
Aye.
I mean, he's got the cat. I love the character that he is. I love that he is this wrestling savant sort of guy. I love his style. I love his entrance gear, coming down with the Cthulhu head on and all that. Like, obviously, his nickname's the Octopus
Aye.
because he's kind of style of wrestling. Like, I really enjoyed watching him in Bandito, but I would struggle to believe him against somebody that's over 6'2", like a proper heavyweight superstar.
He would
It's-
need to.
And I feel bad in saying that.
Aye, he would need to really ramp up the grappling side of things.
He would need to be like a rash over the
He's
top of somebody
obviously-
bigger.
He's really big on sort of chain wrestling, putting different pinfalls together, going for submission to submission and different stuff like that. He would have to go hard in the paint with that to make a match really believable when he's against like a true heavyweight. Aye.
I hesitate to say that it couldn't work because Daniel Bryan shouldn't have worked back in the day, and then it does. And obviously, and everybody believes Bryan Danielson is a world title wrestler. Like, there is no denying that. So to suggest that Gresham could never be in another promotion a top of the card wrestler is probably a bit foolish on my part. But the height of him does just stick with me a wee bit. Like, but that being said, his match with Bandito, brilliant, really, really good match.
Yep.
I love Bandito as well, though. Bandito is fantastic.
He's a gem.
And he just, man,
What an athlete, man.
his finisher as well is just beautiful, where he drapes him on the rope and he kind of flips over and flips back into like a spiked German suplex. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It's unique to say the least.
I hope they have tied him down for Ring of Honor. I really do hope. He's kind of tight with Andrade, so he is.
Right.
Oh, is it?
Nah, yes,
Could be
aye.
interesting.
Him and Roosh and Dragon Lee are all kind of tight, I'm sure. So hopefully they pick up a lot of them, by the way, because they're all
That's
very
just
good.
side note, I'd quite like to see Andrade in Ring of Honor.
I think, yes. Now, this is what I was going to say as well. The other wrestlers that could now move to Ring of Honor and look better, Andrade's probably top of that list.
He's up there.
So this is, remember when you were saying, Paul, like, they're stockpiling all these wrestlers, like what they got to do with them, what they got to do with them.
Get them to Ring of Honor.
Obviously, they've been working on this deal for a while, so we've not been seeing that. We've just been seeing like this one coming in, that one, getting a wee bit of telly.
Everybody has, to be fair. Tony Khan, I think there's about 4 folk knew that deal was in the works, man.
But he's
Exactly.
I would wager, Harvey, that you're probably right. He's been planning ahead for this exact outcome.
Yep.
It's
You can
looking
see,
very
like,
clever now.
some of the folk that are there that could just jump right in. I mean, I don't know, like Utah, he could go in.
Perfect
there,
example.
Wheeler Yuta.
I mean, he's now pure
Like-
wrestling champion for Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Even Minoru Suzuki, he won the, what was it, the
TV title.
World TV,
Aye, TV title.
and stuff like that. He would suit in there too.
Aye,
Well,
I
think he
mean,
would.
as an in and out kind of guy now and again, he's perfect, man. He's a wrestler's wrestler. Like,
Yep.
he kind of fits Ring of Honor more than AEW. Like, I would probably wager it was a good event, man. And obviously, to quickly jump onto the post match, Jay Lethal comes out and kind of congratulates Gresham and does the whole sort of "I'm your first match" sort of thing. And then the heel turn is complete because when he starts beating down Gresham, his pal Sonjay Dutt comes out to try stop him, and then he turns heel as well and starts beating him down.
Yep.
And then the debut to end all debuts. Peek behind the curtain here, ladies and gentlemen, Mashed Tattie Mashers. Michael and I were texting back and forth when this was on. I'm texting Michael, Mac! He'd fell asleep.
Get up.
It was just that wee bit too much for him. Thankfully, he's checked it out the next day. But he totally missed the Samoa Joe debut in the flesh.
Unfortunately, yep,
I
didn't
was
see it
going
live.
crazy.
Aye.
But it just shows you, man, the amount of ex-world champions in Ring of Honor now.
So wholesome to see Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor, man.
It's
But
awesome.
I mean, before we go any further, we need to state Samoa Joe is signed to AEW with the option of appearing in Ring of Honor. He's no signed to Ring of Honor.
Aye.
He's an AEW wrestler, which is tremendous, man. It's
It's
amazing.
awesome, man. Awesome.
What a signing for them.
Aye, he's the man. But this is now the thing, though. That bloated roster now stretches a lot thinner across two companies, two shows. It's two lots of pay-per-views. I mean, they could literally do it the way. I mean, they could copy WWE again. Like, they could have the Ring of Honor show on the Saturday and the AEW show on the Sunday. So, like a takeover into a Mania, a takeover into a Rumble. Like, that's the way NXT used to do it, and they stole the show every weekend when that used to happen. So, I'm fantasy booking here, lads.
Harvey,
Aye.
we can't go away for Ring of Honor without talking about the tag match, right? So I want to know
yes.
your take before me and Paul go mental on it.
Yeah, aye. Have a
FTR?
wee minute.
FTR and the Briscoes.
Yes.
I just thought it was a freaking off again match.
Perfect.
That's I don't know what else to say. A plus. What's the star
Absolutely.
rate? What is 5-star? That's the one they use. Isn't it 5-star?
5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars. It was
All the
The
stars.
crowd were what was the crowd chanting?
tag team wrestling. They were chatting literally.
Tag-
Tag
this
team
is
wrestling.
wrestling,
And
tag
this
team
is
wrestling.
wrestling.
There was a few
Yeah.
of them. Aye.
This is
It was
awesome.
like, this is awesome. That's what it is. This is holy shit. This is awesome.
Oh, everything.
Yeah, aye. Well, aye. I mean, the slingshot, like, just aye. Anyway,
You could do a full podcast on that match. Tom.
I reckon I
They-
could talk about it for an hour.
they hit a slingshot like to the table, right? When it into the table or whatever. Like,
Aye.
I mean, who was it? Jay or something? Was it Jay? Got cut open.
Aye, did that? No, I was Jay. Aye, jeez. Aye.
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 Like, aye, corkscrews. Like, okay. Anyway,
It was
Aye.
Crazy
wild.
matches, crazy moments. But I think for me, I mean, I can sum it up in one sentence: best straight up tag match I have ever seen.
It was.
aye.
There's
I mean,
been
the Briscoes are fucking brilliant, isn't they?
Aye,
And then
they're good,
FTR, like,
And the thing is that
Like-
they have briefly met before, but they don't know each other. They haven't worked together before. They didn't sit down and discuss
Right.
what they were going to do in that match.
it was
They
just
just turned up and wrestled,
wing it.
and it
Aye.
is one of the fucking greatest spectacles you'll ever watch in pro wrestling. It was amazing.
It was the money match.
It was,
It
aye.
was what drew fans in. It was. Tony Khan's even said that they'd sold 200 tickets for the venue before he had taken over the company. He announced that match and it was sold out very quickly. Because everybody wanted to see the Briscoes.
Just an absolute dream match. Wasn't it?
Just a dream match, and it was a dream match. It was a war. It built up and it slowed down. It built up and it took the crowd up on a journey.
Yep.
Everything had its spot, everything had its place. It was fantastic, and it showed everybody who watched that, which probably will be a fraction compared to the amount of people who watch WrestleMania. Just what tag team wrestling should be between the best teams. It was
Yep.
phenomenal. And if that is the last action of the Briscoes within Ring of Honor, what a bloody shame. I understand there's obviously upset with what the silly kind of crap they were tweeting back in the day. I would wager if anybody looked at their tweets 10 years ago, they would be in trouble for saying something silly or something offensive. I don't think these two guys should be blackballed out of wrestling for sharing silly views that they maybe held years ago. They are fucking phenoms, the pair of them, and they reminded everybody just how good they can be.
I think they should. It would be fair to like ban them for social media or just totally disregard it the day in social media or whatever else, and don't try and kid anybody and say that you know they're saints and this, that, and the next thing.
No.
I
No,
don't.
exactly.
I don't believe that like they've totally changed their views or whatever else. But with that aside, I don't think they're evil or horrible people.
No.
I'm not going to apologise for what they said because what they said is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can put that to the side for a second, they are unquestionably one of the very best tag teams on the planet.
Undeniably, Mick. Undeniably one of the best about there. And obviously that was followed with a kind of post-match angle as well, which then leads on to next week's Dynamite, in which FTR versus the Young Bucks 2 will be for both the AAA tag belts and the Ring of Honor tag belts.
Yep.
What a world we're living in, man. Wrestling
On an AEW show.
mental. Aye, on an AEW show, exactly, man. What? Just what? Ah, it's awesome. This is awesome. Yep, it was indeed. Well, tell you what, while we talk about WrestleMania 38, and while I go first and shock the Perrys, you ready?
Aye.
Are you ready?
Aye.
Harvey's already getting ready to slag me for this.
No.
I didn't mind it. I quite enjoyed it. It's a lot of wrestling, yes, but there was a lot of fun in both nights. I also didn't mind Cody Rhodes' debut. I thought it was really well done. I thought he looked the star. I thought he looked awesome. And I think he suits WWE more than AEW. That being said, though, he looked a bit sad. His facial expression was weird. Right?
When he popped up on stage, he didn't look excited to be there.
He looked like a sad wee man.
I don't know if that
That had got everything he wanted, but yet still wasn't happy. Like, I think he thought he would enjoy it more, and was caught off by how he didn't enjoy it as much as he thought he would.
Maybe his bus broke down.
Triple H was on his bus. He was telling Variety about that. So he was. He had Triple H on his bus.
Man.
But I thought he fits in WWE, lads. He does.
Yeah, he's a WWE guy. But the thing
always
is,
been a WWE guy.
He's picked up an indie style in his time away from WWE.
That's
so I
also
wonder
true.
how long it is before they start taking moves away from him.
Aye. 'Cause it was a very Cody-ish match, wasn't it? The one against Seth Rollins.
Is there room in Vince McMahon's world for somebody doing the Cody cutter when Randy Orton's still there doing his RKO?
And they're very big on that not happening. They do not like other people doing finishers that belong. Like Asuka used to do the ankle lock when she was in NXT. Mm-hmm. She came up at the time the cut angle went back and the ankle lock disappeared.
Yep.
Like immediately, instantly. Yep. So it's the same. I mean, it was the same bloody, what tag team was it? Vaudevillains. Aaron English, it was a swanton bomb he did. The minute the Hardys re-signed and did the big WrestleMania moment, boom! Vaudevillains, well, not that Vaudevillains won very much anyway, like they were the definition of a jobber tag team. But it's a kind of well-known history with WWE is that they don't want other people doing finishers that belong to superstars, especially one like Randy. I mean, Randy Orton's practically, he's one of the big dogs there, man, isn't he? Like, so... Yep. You wonder how long that lasts.
I was surprised to see it. I was very surprised that he did that move. So I was, and there's the pile driver. What do you call it? It's like the pedigree sort of style.
Did he? The invertebrator.
Aye, that's the one. He went
over his back.
He went for it. I don't remember if he hit it or no, but that's another one where I wonder if that's
again WWE don't like pile drivers. They don't like the pile driver at all, obviously due to injuries and so on and so forth. So I mean, but to be fair though, as far as a WrestleMania show went, I thought it was all right. I've got to say, I didn't mind it. Stone Cold, by the way, in the main event, I thought did very well for having been nowhere near it for 19 years. I mean, obviously he's in there with probably the safest pair of hands you could get in Kevin Owens.
Outside the apron bombs.
Well. but still, He looked after Stone Cold pretty
Aye.
well, like, didn't he? He did look at it.
I have
There
to
was
say,
no danger of Stone Cold hurting himself in
I
any
think
way.
it would be fair to say that I enjoyed more matches than I didn't enjoy. I think.
Aye, that's where I would sit. That is definitely where I would
I
sit.
did find it a challenging watch, like just through the length of it and the amount of filler between matches at times.
That's always been my problem with WWE is that
Aye.
they still go for these piss break style matches, like Drew McIntyre, Happy Corbin. Don't care. Do not care. I don't think I've ever cared about a Baron Corbin / Happy Corbin match in my life. There is, and by the way, you should care about that guy because he is fucking brilliant in the ring.
On him,
But I don't care.
loved him in NXT, and when he first came onto the main show, I thought this is the next champion, and I was very quickly proven wrong. I guess Vince McMahon just decided he didn't like him or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
And then it's been a long time since I've enjoyed one of his matches.
The first thing I thought when I saw him was, holy fuck, they've fun Jake the Snake Roberts again. And why are they not doing anything with him? And of course, being a very disgruntled WWE watcher at the time, just prior to me starting to kind of get more into the indie scene and being elite and so on and so forth, I just went, fine, whatever. Like, I wasn't angry long. Maybe about 3 weeks I was angry about it. But I don't care. Like, I genuinely don't care. Logan Paul, however, admit it, Mick. Admit it. That boy's a wrestler.
I disagree.
He still has some. He still has some work to do, but he fits the persona. Yeah.
Doesn't he though?
Right.
And
So
didn't he look
just
like
needs-
a wrestler?
He needs to polish his persona. He just needs to polish up on the moves and that. And
He's not perfect. No, he's not going to be a perfect in-ring
decent
worker.
wrestler.
But he moved like one. And I thought he looked like one. I thought he looked.
Let me say my
fantastic.
piece. Let me be clear, right?
Go for it. Come on, I've waited this.
disagree
Because I
with your-
knew this would come.
I disagree with your statement, but no your
Okay.
sentiment.
Right, okay.
The man is not a wrestler, right? That was clear. However, the man has the potential to be a good pro wrestler,
I'll take that.
right? He has the athletic ability. He has the personality for being sort of loud and brash and getting on the mic and stuff like that. He is capable, and with the right training and dedication, could be a pro wrestler. However, he was taking up a spot on the WrestleMania card for no apparent reason.
Oh, I like a lot of them on this, mate.
There's so many
a
people
lot
in the
of
industry
spots.
that
That's money.
Aye,
man.
that are better
The
deserving
eyes
of
that
being there, but aye.
the eyes that he brings to his following
Like-
just brings in more money. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about, this guy is a good pro wrestler, put him in. Nah, they want the money.
money.
And that's
he
why
was in there.
WWE don't call themselves wrestling. You call themselves sports entertainment.
You're talking about the McIntyre and the Corbin match. Don't care. Well,
You didn't care
that
about
tag
Logan
match. I didn't care. Like Johnny,
I mean, neither did I really. To be
Johnny
honest. I just
Knoxville,
wanted to see.
Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass crew being on WrestleMania. They probably shouldn't be there. It's a money grab. It's all
Absolutely
publicity. However, I very, very much enjoyed that.
I agree. It was utter drivelling dog shit, but it was hilarious. it was hilarious.
Aye.
It was utter nonsense. Chris Pontius in a thong on TV in his late 40s should be stupid, should be horrible. Hilarious.
Aye.
Hilarious. Party boy. Hell yeah.
Wee man hitting a power slam.
We man had a slam.
Oh God.
And that proves that Sami Zayn is the greatest worker of all time. How did he get put in a slam? How did he let a wee man... Like, he basically threw himself over, didn't he? It was like, it was... I couldn't stop laughing.
He lowered himself into
Perfectly.
position and allowed him. But to Wee Man's credit, he held him for a second. and he
Give
put
him the
over.
props.
You know what I mean? He
Give
did
him
it.
the props. He was a participant in that slam.
Aye.
And the match itself was just stupid, but it was awesome.
Aye.
It was awesome.
It was funny when I seen because honestly I didn't look at who was. Obviously I heard that Stone Cold was going to be it, and you know what I mean, and then Logan Paul because you had said about Logan Paul and obviously Cody, but then when I was like, what the fuck, Johnny Knoxville? I watched it. I was like,
It was-
actually, this is.
And you know what it was?
This is hilarious.
It was like a greatest hits in the Jackass films. Like Sami Zayn get fucked with a big hand and everything, like a big slap.
They had the nut kicker. They had the high five.
Kill the punter. He bowling balled a bowling ball in his nuts. Oh, perfect.
Brilliant.
Fair play to them. It's utter rubbish. It's not wrestling, but by God, is it entertaining. That is what sports entertainment is in a nutshell right there. It's based on wrestling. Oh, Jesus, man. Bye, something else. Bye. To speak about old Pat McAfee there, Harvey, mate. So Pat McAfee has his match against Austin Theory. In my opinion, again, this is a guy that's not a wrestler, but Jesus Christ, he could have been in another life.
100%.
In another life,
I agree,
what a wrestler is he?
I was so much more impressed by him than I was Logan Paul. I'll tell you that.
His athleticism, man.
Aye. He had effectively a perfect swanton, albeit Austin rolled it the way, so the move didn't land, but his part of it was picture perfect.
Perfect, absolutely perfect.
He did a backflip off the top rope that was and landed on his feet that was inch perfect, followed by a jump up back onto the top rope
To do a vertical suplex.
which was that was mental for a guy his
So
age.
he's standing verting about 4.5, 5 feet. Like, I mean, fair play him.
The man is an athlete.
He is.
Yes,
Who
aye.
says punters are not athletes?
Aye. He had. Did he not have a wrestling match last year or not?
He did against Adam Cole in
did,
NXT. And again, by the way,
That's
he
right,
more
aye.
than held up
That
his
was-
part.
Aye. Oh man, you can see that he has. Yeah, he's got some moves in him.
I can respect him
Like,
being
it's
a
pretty good,
wrestling
but,
commentator.
like, even when he sold the stunner as well, man.
It was a good sell.
Aye.
Hell,
it
I'll
was a
tell you,
good
it was a
sell.
better sell than Vince McMahon. The next round of applause goes
God!
to Vincent Kennedy McMahon
Holy
for
shit,
the
man.
worst match I have ever seen, but it was still hilarious.
It's
Oh,
so
It was hilarious.
so like just unfortunate that
It was like watching
The deal-
Mr. Burns.
the deal with the devil for allowing Pat McAfee to have a great match and go over against Austin Theory was that he
job
then
to
had to just lie down at the feet of Vince McMahon immediately afterwards.
Oh my God.
He was running into clotheslines. That
Aye.
it was so bad. So
It was,
hilarious.
but he was selling it though. He
And then
was
he
selling it.
leisurely get leisurely tapped by a Dallas Cowboys American football to win. Oh, I mean, it's
honestly,
awful, but it was
watching it-
so funny.
Watching it in the ring, man, there was a point where I was like, holy shit, Vince McMahon is having a heart attack. What the fuck? Like, you started. Like,
Oh, God damn it, I'm not coming for this anymore.
like, oh god. But
It was-
nah, man, he doesn't need to be doing that anymore.
It was
to
the
be honest,
post-match
Like-
stunner, man.
the Stone Cold nearly broke his neck. If you look at it properly, because he's already kind of hanged.
I hope he. By the way, I
Mental.
hope he's okay. I hope the audience
Aye.
okay, man. Because but as Stone Cold get up, and Stone Cold is laughing his ass
I know.
off. He's getting just a bit of tears running down his face, laughing
Oh
at
man,
this nonsense. It was.
Cold, man.
It was.
I would like to know if so. Obviously, Stone Cold goes for the stunner, right? They do the thing with the beers. They're having a chug of the beers. Then Stone Cold does the classic out in anywhere, kicks him, goes to go for the stunner. When he kicked McMahon in the gut, I want to know: did McMahon go into muscle memory and immediately started selling the stunner before the full stunner had happened? Or did he have some sort of spasm or something? Because when he got kicked,
What he did.
he dropped down to a knee as if he was going into the stunner.
Aye.
And then when
Aye.
he's getting up and he can't quite get back up, he's falling out of place.
Oh,
Stone Cold
jeez.
started to laugh as he's like fumbling trying to grab onto McMahon so that he can guide him down.
Come here, you stupid
But
dumb son
McMahon,
of a
but
bitch.
McMahon, like,
I gotta
don't
stun
think
you,
an
you
idea to go
goddamn-
against the rope. It's like, oh, I came out there, I'll get back up and I'll go against the rope, and then he can try it again.
Going against the rope was a bit. What are you doing, goddammit, Vince? Come here, you son of a bitch.
That was car crash TV, wasn't it?
It was,
man,
it was brilliant for all the wrong reasons,
Aye.
but it was brilliant. Just to before we quickly go out, the main event of the whole weekend, Brock versus Roman Reigns. I mean, it happened.
I was again bitterly disappointed, man.
It didn't do anything new for me.
There's been so
I get
much
why.
story, so much long-term booking, so much promo going into it, and then the match is just a bit meh. It feels rushed.
Paint by numbers, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar match.
I don't know how much time they
Finishers
told them they had, but there's no way that's the match that they were going to do. I don't believe that for a second.
Surely not.
I think that was meant to be 20, 25 minutes, but they went and ended up having like 15. And
Problem is, the Roman Reigns' entrance takes longer than the fucking match. It takes him forever to get down there. He's just sauntering down there like the big ticket. It takes him ages to get there. And then they've got all the stupid pomp, like Paul Heyman.
Did you not have to? Did you not have to cut? What is it, Drew McIntyre? Did you not have to cut his entrance?
His entrance get cut
because they were running out of time and
New Day's tag match get cut as well. Like, I mean, it's
that's right.
They just, I don't know. It was a bit of a disappointment, for a bit of wet fart for me, if I'm honest. The end. I'm interested to see what they do going forward, though.
I wish
the Brock and
I wish so much that the Stone Cold thing was the Sunday night. I think that would have been a better go home thing.
Would you have that as the Sunday night Stone Cold posing at the end?
I think that would have been. I think that would have been better as well, because the Brock and Roman, it was just like, two big guys wrestling,
big sweaty men.
Yeah,
and then it was like
we've seen this. It was like a million
10
times.
minutes of like decent match, like
cool.
pretty reasonable back and forth match for about 10 minutes, and then it was like 5 minutes of like, right, let's wrap this up.
I don't know. I quite like a Roman Reigns match. I don't really like Brock Lesnar matches. It just doesn't really do anything for me anymore. He's not changed anything in so long, and they're all just. It's like a check box list, like suplexes, suplexes, German suplexes, F5s, home time.
I think half the bother is that Brock Lesnar's style doesn't really work against another big power wrestler. Going against
Roman's a big lumpy boy now, man.
It doesn't work too well against him because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Brock Lesnar can still throw Roman Reigns about like he's no there, you know what I mean? But
no.
It doesn't look quite the same, and then when you have then Roman try to do power moves back at him, you just get a bit of this kind of.
And Brock doesn't bump as well as, like, see, because they're both big boys, they don't need to bump much. So when they're bumping, it doesn't. It's a bit odd. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just. I would give it about a 6 out of 10. The WrestleMania for me, which, by the way, I've gave WrestleManias way lower than that in the past. So, I mean, that's a good WrestleMania to me, as far as I'm concerned.
Can I ask?
Nowhere near an all elite show, but go for it. Can you ask for two?
Can I ask for two things, right? I'm curious to know your highlight of WrestleMania. It can be your favourite match or just a general highlight, right, for WrestleMania, and then same for the whole sort of week/weekend. Okay,
right. So my highlight of WrestleMania is the debut of Cody Rhodes, because now we can all stop fucking talking about it.
Right, fair.
that's my highlight. Now that's all the speculation done. We can all chill out. He's at WWE. Great. He's at WrestleMania.
He's got his bus. He's happy.
He's got his bus. He's sound. He's all right. He's fine. So good. Now we can move on.
What a weird thing.
My highlight of the whole week, absolutely, FTR versus the Briscoes. World class tag team wrestling. As you guys know, I am a tag team wrestling lover. So, booyah. What be yourselves before we get the hell out of here?
That's where you want to go?
I would say like the highlight was the FTR and Briscoe brothers.
Same.
Amazing.
What about Mania?
That's the highlight of the week. And what? Sorry.
What about the Mania itself? I suppose you didn't really catch as much of the Mania as us.
I watched a lot of the matches, but I mean, if I was to, I don't know. I don't know.
No.
Harvey's quack of the week is Ronda Rousey, I tell you that. Take it.
Well, apparently she shot down that rumour that she was apparently miffed at her place on the night one card.
She shot it down. She was on a telly show during the week, and she said that she was so excited to be the last match on the thing. So
aye.
So she can't shoot that. She can't shoot it down too easy. I've got it on camera, officer.
You got nothing on us, cops. Oh dear, Mick, what about yourself?
For me, highlight of WrestleMania. Well, I'm going to cheat a bit here, right? Because I'm struggling to pick stuff, right? So I'm going to give you favourite matches and highlights, right?
Right, okay.
Favourite match WrestleMania was the opening match of the second day. So it was the big tag match. You had RK Bro, Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. Fair enjoyed that match. Good match.
I'm surprised at that.
But my actual highlight for WrestleMania was the Stone Cold thing. Didn't enjoy the lead in. I felt like it was too forced and just stupid. Like the whole thing has been the lead into it. However,
the WWE did.
It was a reasonable match, and it was great to see the crowd go nuts for him and see him getting his big kind of
absolutely.
That was really good. Overall, favourite match by a country mile was FTR and Briscoes. That was just out of this world, man. One of my favourite matches in pro wrestling ever, and easily the best straight up tag match that I can remember ever seeing. But my highlight of the whole weekend was that Tony Khan was sort of true to his word, and they put on a fantastic Ring of Honor show that was a Ring of Honor show. It wasn't an AEW show.
That's also true. Maybe something we didn't quite cover as much previously, but it was very much in the spirit of Ring of Honor and not in AEW. So props to the guy. And well brought up, mate. Absolutely agree with that point. Lads, as always, we've yattered on to the full-time whistle, basically. So it is really time for us to go here. As always, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see or hear more of us talking about the things we like, we are on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, everywhere you can hear a podcast, you're going to hear us talk away. We're also on YouTube. We've got wee clips on YouTube. We've got full episodes on YouTube. And if you want to support the podcast, there is also the option of helping us out with whatever you feel like you can with Buy Me a Coffee. Obviously, there is no pressure on this. Don't worry about that. If you're here and you're listening, we're delighted to have you. And if you want to keep with us, fucking A. Anyway, for now, will we get ourselves the hell out of here, lads,
Fucking
It's been a busy week. I need my bed. Get away from me wrestling. No more, thank you. Bye, driver!
Bye, driver!
Bye!